Crawling Nation. This is Mordant. Welcome to the other side of live.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the other side of live. I am your host, Mordant, and I am with my co-host, Charles of the Bear Crawling Nation. Charles, say hello.
Hello, everybody. I think I will always and forever be Charles of the Bear Crawling Nation. I tried not to push. There's nothing wrong with that being my identity, though, right? I mean,
no. Well, I mean, the other side of live is part of the Bear Crawling Nation, so that's why you get that plug.
It works for me, But like if I call other shows, as we should do. I mean, if you listen to a show and you like what they do, you should call them. And how would they call you?
What do you mean?
813-713-9111.
813-413-7133. If you want to call in and talk to me with my oh-so-sexy gravelly voice, 813-413-7133. Sharon Watson is asking, can we use Mixlr tonight?
Yes. I'm not set up to run it, and I don't know if Rock Girl's in the room. I don't have the room. I'm trying to minimize my bandwidth so I don't kill the conversation.
Oh, Rock Girl just joined the room, so you can hit her with that.
Okay, so Rock Girl can do the Mixlr for us if she is ready. That'd be awesome. We would appreciate that. So, podcast, I try not to say I'm Charles from the Bear Crawling Nation. I try to just come off because I believe in giving back to the community, and not just as I should, but because I can, because I really enjoy what they like. And we love hearing from people. We love getting recognized. We love knowing that you like what we do. And so I'll try to give that back as well.
Right. That's fine. I don't know. That's fine.
It's called segue. I'm setting up the T-balls, and I guess you're just sick. It's okay. You can whip
That's it. Tonight's title is supposed to be Living Happily Ever After, and we will talk about this, but I think that the real title of tonight's podcast is going to be In Sickness and in Health, because I was fine. I'm in North Carolina right now. I was fine while I was in Minnesota the whole time. I lived at the Plague House, and there were 2 women and 4 kids, and the kids would have this awful hacking cold sickness, whatever, and I managed to sidestep it left and right, and I was fine. And then on my drive here, I was like, I got a little tickle. I got a little itchy in the back of my throat, and by the time I hit North Carolina, I feel fine, which is, if I'm going to get sick, this is the way I want to do it. And actually, my voice was fine as well. I was hacking and coughing. It's a chest cold. But performing all weekend with the Tortugas destroyed my voice. I kept it till the last show, and then afterwards it was gone. And then I had a student day today in the rain. This is actually better than yesterday. So you get to hear this tonight. Hopefully you can hear me and understand me.
I can hear you just fine.
Good. So I'm glad that we're going to do that. So if you want to call in and make me speak more, again, 813-413-7133.
I was talking about people loving what you do, and something happened recently that told you that.
Okay, a little less cryptic for the sick guy, please.
The Other Side of Live has acquired the nomination for the Podcast Awards in Health and Fitness.
That's right. Again, I'm going to apologize right now. I will be coughing throughout the show. Deal with it. But yes, indeed. And this is great that, we got nominated on the Podcast Awards. Who puts out the Podcast Awards?
It is sponsored by Raw Voice, which is the parent company of Blueberry Network, which we're a part of.
So it's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it is a big deal.
It's not like mom and pop's podcast award show. It's right. The big thing for us. So right after that announcement, I get to do this show where it's like, okay, my professionalism is going out the door because I'm just going to be this guy. But it's a huge honor, and it really hasn't sunk in how much of a big deal it is yet. I was like, I'm sure that happens to everybody, but we are in the category of health and fitness, because I think that there was no other category that really fit us except for inspirational, and that was mostly, churchy stuff, and I don't think we're that.
No, well, there was faith and inspiration, and then there's health and fitness, or faith and spirituality. And so, no, I mean, this falls under self-help. I mean, we're helping ourselves, number one, when we talk these things out, or at least talk about how we've helped ourselves. And then number two, we have you call in, and we try to help you as well. So this is very much self-help, health and fitness, and mentally fit and emotionally healthy.
That's right. That's right.
So the voting...
And we will... I was going to say, we will get into tonight's subject, but we are going to do a little bit of shameless plugging. So the voting begins tomorrow.
Tomorrow, October 12th. And runs to October 27th. It's only, was that 2 weeks? 2 weeks long?
Yeah. Yep, we'll go with that.
It is roughly 2 weeks long. I think it's 15 days, literally. So, yeah, and Sharon hopefully will push out once a day. She'll put it out on Mordant World on the Facebook, which I'll be putting out on the Bear Calling Nation. And anybody who wants to be on the email list, well, actually, just check Facebook. It'll be there. You can vote once a day per category. So you could vote in every category one time per day, then come back tomorrow, do it again, so on and so forth. Every vote counts. It's awesome to be nominated. That means a lot more of your friends and family will get to see Mordant here. And, I mean, it's exposure is what I'm trying to say. More people will discover who you are and what we do. And it's going to be fun. It's awesome. And it really is an honor. I mean, when we found out the other night when they announced the nominations and I called up Mordant, and we were very excited, much like you would expect anybody who got nominated for something serious. I mean, this to us, this is the equivalent of the Academy Awards.
Yeah,
except it's all about people, and nominated is about 40% you guys going out and nominating us, which is awesome, and then the rest was how we produced the show and technical stuff. But that got us through. So now it's 100% you going and voting. And if you don't vote, Mordant's voice will be gone forever, much like Tinkerbell.
So, and you also got nominated as well.
I did indeed. In the general, I got the Bear Calling Nation Live as nominated for the first time after 3 years of trying, 3 or 4 years of trying. We got nominated, and it's a huge deal. And I'm up against some decent competition. And you could also vote for me at the same time. And that would be and once a day, and we really appreciate it. And it's an awesome thing. It's really awesome to have this. It's been a big year for us, especially for me, but it's definitely been a big year for both of us this year, podcast wise.
Right. So that is podcastawards.com.
Yes, sir.
For those of you just listening, podcastawards with an S on it, .com. And I just want to point out that one of the other people in the health and fitness category is Jillian Michaels, who I love from The Biggest Loser. So I'm just like giddy that I'm like, really? My show's in there with her show? Really? That's awesome. So I'm kind of nerding out. So there's that. That is fantastic. And we're kind of here at the Bear Crawling Nation. We're all goofy and happy about that and excited and blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, because it's only the top 10 in each category. And the listing, I believe on the site, it says there was almost 3,000 shows nominated.
Right.
Nomination.
It was, there's 220 people nominated right now in each of these categories, or in the categories. So you got 220 people you could vote for. Originally there was, almost 1,400,000 or over 1,400,000 listeners nominated, 2,698 shows.
Yeah. A million people voted. They turned out to nominate.
Almost a million and a half.
Nominated.
And these are the top, 220. So I don't know how we got in there, or I don't know how I got in there.
Oh, quit self-depreciating. Well, I can depreciate you all day long.
I'm like a good rental property. I self-depreciate.
So, yeah, we're excited. There will be links in the Wonder World every day.
And you will guide me how to do this.
Yes, sir. We'll that right after the show tonight, so I'll be ready for tomorrow morning.
Right.
I will guide Sharon Watson. How about that?
There you go. Perfect. So we were talking last week. What were we talking last week about? It was, what was the topic of or 2 weeks ago? What was the topic?
We didn't really have one. The topic was kind of getting...
that's right. It was Surgical Strike Coffee Talk.
There you go.
Because we were talking about my surgery and things like that, and just kind of going back and forth on what was been going on in our lives and difference. It was a nice little difference, instead of look, we have a real serious topic right now. We're just more like, you were on vacation, I'd gone to New York, we got to talk about all that stuff. Yeah. And we kind of touched on a little bit about chasing, catching your dreams, always about that. But I had mentioned that I think that the purpose of our lives here is so that we can learn to be a creator, learn to create. And the thing that you're creating right now is your life. That's what you get to create. That's why it's not good to just sit back and wait for stuff to come to you. That's why it's not good to just be hoping on the lottery to make things fantastic for you. Because if you're doing that, then you're not really learning how to, create fantastic in your life, create awesome in your life, which is what you want to do. So that when things, as things are cyclical, so that when things, go down again, you can bring them back up. Much like when Donald Trump, he lost all his money, he came back stronger than ever because he knew how to do it. He wasn't waiting for the next lottery. He knew how to do that. So that's what, the reason we're here. Now, a good guidance for this, what's our goal? Should it be? Should it be wealth? Should it be, happiness? Should it be, the most toys? And the thing that I'm beginning to use for my guidance is to live happily ever after. Make all my decisions. I want to live happily ever after. Does that mean I'm going to be safe and secure at the end of my life? Yes. Does that mean that I'm going to make enough money that I don't have to worry about, being put into a home or something? Yes. Is it going to make sure that I'm going to take care of my family when I'm gone? Yes. Happily ever after. So whatever that is for you, does that mean I'm going to make the right choices? Not picking a mate that it just happens to be there, but somebody that is well suited for me and I am well suited for them? Yes. Does that mean I may be in a relationship that is fantastic, great, but if I'm in one where I'm getting beaten, or if you're getting beaten, emotionally, physically, whatever, that's not happily ever after. Get out, move on. That's your goal, and your responsibility is to be a creator in your life. And if you have children, it's even more important because then you're teaching your children how to be. One of the things I started reading this week, Allison Williams, our friend Allison Williams sent me a couple of articles on mirror neurons. And it's that thing that when you see something that, like, say somebody's taking a drink of soda or a drink of water and certain things fire in their brains. And then in your brains, the same things fire. So what's interesting is we learn that way. As human beings, we learn that way. That's how we learn. So when you tell your child, do not smoke, and you smoke, certain things fire in your brain so that you can, the cigarette. If a child sees you smoking, certain things fire in your brains. You're not teaching them not to smoke. But in fact, when you tell them, but don't do what daddy says, you're teaching them how to tell their children, how they're going to tell their children, don't do what mommy says. So you're teaching them how to be the exact kind of parent you are. So, happily ever after. That was a long way around. I wanted to get mirror neurons in there because I just read about them and I think they're pretty cool.
I'm reading a book that we talked about, Double Your Income, Doing What You Love by Raymond. I just got started on it.
Say that again, please.
Double Your Income, Doing What You Love by Raymond Aaron, A-A-R-O-N, his last name. And I got it for $1 at the library. Is being sold off. And I just got to the chapter where it's talking about something along those lines about making, what's this chapter called? Or the section of the chapter is called Creating a List of Loves That Is Real. And it's talking about what you're talking about. Once you decide what's truly important in your life, what you really love, it makes all the decisions easy. And the example he gave was a couple came to him for this trademark counseling that he does. And they had, the husband lost his job for a while and been really searching hard for it. Well, the dilemma was he got 2 job offers at one time, and both of them needed a quick response. One had more money and a better starting position, better benefits, but you had to move. And he wasn't sure he wanted to do that. The other one had other benefits. One was good, the other one was good. They couldn't decide. And short version is, what do you love? What are you looking to get out of work? And once they figured out, I'm really looking to get out of this, they were distracted by stuff. They were distracted by the higher salary and the better title. But really, it was an easy decision. The job that was at home was perfect for them because it suited what actually meant something in their life. I think when I hear the term happily ever after, I mean, you brought it up, and the first question to you I had, and I told you because we were on the phone, we weren't on the show. I said, don't answer this question. But this question needs to be brought up. What is happily ever after? What does that even mean? Is there any such thing?
I think it's different for hold on to that question. I'm going to come right back to it.
Sure.
I want to address something in the chat rooms. For some people, they're having sound issues. I think Sharon Watson has put up, you can listen also to the show on Mixlr, mixlr.com/bearcrawling. So you might want to try it there. What does happily ever after mean? I think it's different for different people. I think it's, and you kind of want to use that as your Spidey-Sense guidance system. And everything that I'm beginning to read as far as law of attraction, as far as The Secret, as far as just having a fantastic life, your inner guidance system is what feels good for you. We do everything because it feels good. We learn because it feels good to learn. We meditate because it feels good to meditate. We have sex because it feels good to have sex. We give our lives for our children or our loved one because it feels good to do that. You sacrifice because it feels good to do that. So you do everything because it feels good. So let that be your Spidey-Sense guidance system. If you're moving towards something and it does not feel good, and I'm not talking about, oh, I've got to do work here and I don't want to do this kind of work, even though it's in my goal range. I'm not talking about that. Sometimes you've got to slug through the hard stuff to get to the goal, to the gravy. So, but I'm talking about if you're doing stuff and you're just in a job and it's sucking the life out of you to the point even where you're becoming sick. You don't want to do that. And I'm not talking about my sick. You don't want to do that. You want to find the thing that gives you joy. Well, I've always wanted to become an archaeologist. All right. Slowly pursue that. Keep your bread and butter job and start moving towards that thing that's going to help you be happily ever after. Ultimately, you want to be happy. Because if you're happy, you have a lot more choices in your life. I believe the book is called The Happiness Advantage, and I think it's Shawn Achor. And he talks about some people think that success brings happiness. And studies have shown that's not true. Happiness brings success. Because there's a difference between you being fearful and all of a sudden all you have two choices, fight or flight. And if that's all you have, your opportunities narrow. However, if you're happy, if you're joyful, if you're relaxed, suddenly you can see other opportunities and everything else that is around you that you may have been missing because you were all stressed out. So you want to use that, moving towards what makes you happy and joyful in your life so that as you become happier and healthier, you're able to give back to your community, to your world, to your family, and help them do the same thing.
I like definition, and that was a whole lot of definition. But I hear a lot of people use happily ever after. And when I hear the term happily ever after, it's that one I always talked about. Well, if I could only get that next job, I'd be happy. If I could only win the lottery. I mean, I had that mentality at one point. I was poor, dirt poor. Couldn't pay my bills. Had credit cards, of course, because that's what you do when you're poor. And that was my mentality. It's like, man, if I could just win that lottery this weekend, my whole life would change. And when you brought up happily ever after, that's the first thing I thought. Where do you hear happily ever after? In fairy tales that are so rife with unrealistic expectations, it will never happen.
Well, then perhaps the fairy tales have stolen that, and we're going to take it back.
Well, I don't hear
that happily ever after.
And your definition, I'm not hearing happily ever after. I'm hearing a realistic life of constant happiness.
Right.
Because happily ever after is always the end of the story. And they lived happily ever after. And I was thinking about that because I knew we were going to talk about it tonight. I was thinking from the time you and I mentioned it. And now I was like, I will never have a happily ever after because I'm never going to keep thinking of what's next. I'm happy now. I'm happy now with a great wife, 2 great kids, a third one on the way. I'm working, I'm doing what I love with the Bear Crawling Nation, and I'm constantly growing, constantly moving. I look back 5 years ago when I really started podcasting. I was mostly happy then. I mean, I'm happier now. I think our happily ever after really means I continue to grow in happiness because I never stopped moving. I never stopped. There is no end to it. I have to continually work on my marriage. I have to continually work to be a decent father. I have to continually work to be a good employee. There is no stopping. And in retirement, man, I'm going to be doing more than I ever did before. I don't plan on that retiring. Me and you, our retirement is all we do is what we love. No more working for the man.
Yeah, Tim Ferriss, in his book, The 4-Hour Workweek, talks about how retirement is not the goal. It's not the goal. You don't want to retire from your job and then do nothing. I watched my dad, who was worked for the State Department and from what I heard, the CIA. I watched him after he retired. He bought a ranch and he took care of some chickens and some horses and some cows and he was, riding more and he eventually got bored and he would go fishing and so eventually got bored and beer became his friend. So retirement's not the goal. What you want to do is clear that work off your table so that you can do those things that you love and continue to do those things and give back to, the community and give back to yourself in your life. And I think that Camcheck said something in the chatterbox. It says happily ever after. How about cutting happily ever after and just keep living? What I like about is, living happily ever after. It's a constant thing. It's not we're done. This is at the end of my life. No, it's continuously living happily ever after. What is going to bring me to that? It's a continuous pulling towards a positive. It's not just, when I'm there, I'm done. And the rest can be crap until I get there. That's not what we're talking about. It's to talk about a constant moving towards that living a life of happily ever. And don't get caught up on the fairy tale words. I think you understand what I'm talking about.
No. I think this time I think I would agree with you this time. I know what you're talking about, but there are times when I go to clarify some of your terms and you mean what I think you mean, which is not how I see it. This time I think we're
fairly what?
Close to the target.
Excellent.
On the same Kindle.
Well, if anybody wants to join in on this discussion, and this is indeed an invitation because Charles and I can keep talking about this until we're blue in the face, but we'd like to see what you have to bring to the table. 813-413-7133. Please give us a call. And even if it is to say hello, but lend us your thoughts about happily ever after. You don't have to be signed into Stickcam to do it. It is a Skype, it's a Skype phone number, so you can just call.
Any phone, anywhere.
Any phone, anywhere. That's right.
Here's why I take issue with those words, though, because I really believe in words mean things. And the power mentality, I was with my friend this weekend, and brother, if you will. Long-term known him for, I think, 18 years. We've almost literally grown up together. And we talk to each other about everything. And he's at a different point in his life than I am as far as life issues go. And he talks to me about things, and I try to share my view of the world with him. But I think a lot of times I come off with, it's your fault. When I'm really trying to say, you choose your destiny. It's something that you call it stirring quam soup. I say you choose your path. You choose your destiny. Because if you choose, you can always choose to change it. But he said something about when I started to say, yeah, but remember, you choose your destiny. He said, yeah, no, it's all my fault. And it really kind of hurt me that I was coming off that way. I didn't want to come off negative. And I realized, and we talked about it later, I said, well, I'm sorry if I came off, though. I don't really mean to. But it's the slight minuscule difference between the phrasing makes it negative and positive. Makes it two poles. It's all my fault is you're stuck with it. How do you start fixing that? Well, I don't even know how to start fixing it because everybody else is involved. It's all my fault, but everybody else is involved. Versus, I choose my destiny, making it the positive. If I choose my destiny, I can choose which path to take. I don't have to fix anything. I don't have to fix anything. Right. I choose to take a different path. Well, if that's not working, if I keep hitting the wall here, I'm going to step 2 steps to the right and see how this works over here. Just try something different because I choose. And that was kind of a revelation to me this weekend because I always think about the choosing the destiny, but not how that slight mental change changes how you see the world.
Right, absolutely. And it's a difference between, you're responsible for your life and you have to claim responsibility for your life. One is, look what you did. The other is, look what you can do.
Right.
And once you realize that, and some people think that's a bad thing. Oh, no, I don't want to have that responsibility. The good thing about that is that means that you have the power to change it. You don't have to wait for the lottery to come your way to start having a better life. Mm-hmm. You have to accept responsibility for some of your spending habits. and maybe taking the job at McDonald's and staying there all your life may not be the ideal thing if you want to have a fantastic life unless you own the place. Then that's whatever. Not to harsh on McDonald's employees, but it's up to you what you're going to do in your life. It's up to you what I've spoken to a lot of my female friends. It's up to you what you allow in your life. I have a friend of mine. I'm not going to name her name. I'm a friend of mine. She's an older woman who was married to an older gentleman, and they've been married for many, many years. And they were, they love each other, etc. Everything's great. And he's kind of cantankerous sometimes, and he's been known to take it out on people once in a while. Although I've never seen it. And she relayed the story. They were sitting there, just kind of having a dinner or whatever, and he just kind of started cursing at her about something. And just got into it, and she stopped him right there. So he goes, "You will not speak to you. Have never spoken to me that way. You will not speak to me that way." And he goes, "That's just the way I talk." She goes, "Not to me, you don't." Right then, she took a stand. That moment, most people, myself included, would usually go, "Oh, well, just let it slide. It's not a big deal." But right then, she goes, "No, this is not acceptable in our relationship." And he did not do that anymore. He pushed that boundary, and she said, "I love you, no." And he's, "Oh, okay." Eventually it got to there. Sure. So it's up to you what you allow in your life. I think a lot of our relationships now are influenced by what we see in the media, what we hear in music. And there was a lot of the gangsta stuff that was out there, and it was a kind of a cool thing to be, bitches and hoes is kind of a cool thing. And I've even heard women calling themselves that. It's like, look, right. You don't have to do that. You don't have to put up with that. You don't have to accept that. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. You don't have to accept that in your life. You can say, no, I expect better treatment from my mate. Somebody's not opening the door for you on a date. Well, you deserve that. It's up to you, though. You choose what you allow in your life. It is up to you. You have to claim responsibility for the experience you have. You can go, "Oh, it's okay," or you can go, "Oh, I want better. I want somebody who's going to treat me a little better than that. So I'm going to love myself enough to treat myself better, so I can live happily ever after."
I just had a visual about us while you were talking. I keep coming back to and how it really just bothers me, and I think it's because I think a lot of people have the same mentality that I do. I hear it a lot actually through the show here. What if I don't have a dream to chase, but I want to be happy? What if the visual I had is you're the car. You personally are Mordant Mon or the car, and you're living and chasing the dreams. You're all about how far out can we go? Let's fill up the tank and just go, baby. How far can we go? And I'm the snow chains. Is when life throws that blizzard at you, I help get traction. And I was kind of thinking of that way. I was like, because I don't feel like I'm negative here, but I always feel like I bring your points to a different area. And I really feel what we need to do this here is, because people will say, well, happily ever after is a fairy tale. I can't get there. Or I'm sitting here jobless. My wife left me. My kids hate me. If I may, Kay Westerfeld, because you've called here a few times, my daughter's going to do a career that scares the piss out of me, and I'm worried, and life is throwing that blizzard at me. And I can't think of happily ever after, and I can't think of chasing the dream. But if you look at the path you choose, I think all this ties together. If you look at the path you choose right now, and she did. This was documented on the shows that we've done. She called up, she's worried. You gave advice. I don't remember if I threw anything on her or not. And then a couple shows later, she called back and said things are better. Thanks for the advice. This is how my life is, which is obviously a great way to be a listener. Hint, hint. Be like your big sister. Don't be a disappointment to me and your mother. That was awesome because you don't get that very often. She had a problem. She called for advice, and then she called with the follow-up to what happened, and she chose a different path. Instead of worrying, I'm sure she's still worried for her daughter. Of course, it's her daughter. But instead of having it throw her down like it was, she was able to come to a point where she could get a grip on the road while life was throwing the blizzard at her. And I think this happily ever after really needs to be clarified to, you got to figure out what makes you happy. I think that's really where we got to come to in this point in the conversation, is what actually makes you happy, not chocolate ice cream on a hot summer day, not that kind of happy, but when life is throwing that blizzard at you when you get fired. When I got the call to come into the office and the VP said, we're closing the office, sorry, it sucks for you guys. I mean, it wasn't that brutal, but it was kind of like, holy crap. Everything changed in an instant. What keeps you from going off the deep end? What keeps you from screaming at the world? And sometimes you need to scream at the world and come back. And it's because what kept me from screaming at the world was I'd already started living my life like work is temporary, because I found my happiness in my family life because I worked hard at it. If you're sitting there going, well, I have an unhappy family life, or I'm single, there's something else that makes you happy. You know, for Rock Girl, she loves taking pictures. I mean, it truly makes her happy. Whether she sells them or not is not the point. It might not be her dream to chase. But you know what I'm saying? Right. Her happily ever after is when I retire, when I've got nothing else to do, all I'm going to do is take pictures 24/7 and process them and post them on Facebook and, you know, everything else. What makes you happy? You can do it right now. I mean, that's what this chapter that I'm reading is about, making your list of loves. And there's a chart right here that I haven't really looked at, but it starts with my loves. And the first line is I love blank. Then the next blocks is why that's important. And then there's some other stuff I haven't read about. I don't know exactly what it means. But it says, if you love reading books, and the last time you read a book was 5 years ago, you're living somebody else's life. That's what Raymond Aaron has said in his book. And I thought that was an interesting thought process. If you love Mordant, if you love sitting down one-on-one with somebody and just talking about their life, and the last time you actually did it was a year ago, you're not living your own life. So how are you going to get to happily ever after? Of course, I don't think you do that. I'm just saying examples. How are you going to get to happily ever after if you're living somebody else's life?
Right. Excuse me. And I think one of the things people need to realize, and you were talking about, you know, you're sitting there and you're miserable, you have no job, or you know, the happily ever after doesn't really work for you or whatever. This is all in baby steps. You're not going to suddenly go from I've got nothing going on to look, I'm on top of the world, unless it's not a realistic thing. You know, people who win the lottery, most of them go bankrupt in the first 5 years because their financial thermostat is not set at being used to having millions of dollars. They're used to having maybe, you know, tens of thousands of dollars, maybe. And so they, you know, subconsciously do what they have to do to get back there. So, I'm comfortable again. So everything's in baby steps so you can acclimate to that new level that you're trying to reach. So, you know, that's one of the things you have to realize. The other thing is that, and it's one of my affirmations, life, God, the universe is always out to help me and ever conspiring to bring me good. Life, God, the universe, pick one, pick all three, I don't care. Life, God, the universe is always out to help me and ever conspiring to bring me good. There are people who get sick and get cancer, and then they realize, screw this, I'm going to quit my job and do what I've always wanted to do. They go and do and become a writer and or plant flowers or do daycare, whatever it is they want to do. And suddenly the cancer goes into remission. That's a small example, a small percentage of people as well. But maybe you're in a suck job and you're hating your life because it's a suck job, so you'll get out of it and finally do that thing that you want to do, even if you do it just as a hobby. Maybe it's life's way of going, come on, you hate this, I hate this, let's move on. You know? So everything, life, God, the universe is working to help you out, ever conspiring to bring you good. So it's even conspiring against you to bring you good. Oh no, I got a flat tire in the rain. What will I do? I hate this. My life sucks. Maybe you were detained so you wouldn't get in a wreck. Maybe you have a flat tire so that you can meet somebody who was supposed to help you along the way. Maybe you got a flat tire in the rain so that when somebody else did it, you can help them and show them how to do it. Who knows? You know, what horrendous things have happened in your life. What horrific things have happened in your life. But you can be using those to benefit your life and to benefit those around you. It is your choice. You have to accept responsibility for what is happening in your life. You have to accept responsibility for working towards happily ever after. Because if you just sit back and complain and whine, you're never going to get anywhere.
If it's all my fault, you're never going to get anywhere.
Or everybody else's fault.
Or if it's fault at all. Fault is not responsibility. Right. Fault and responsibility often get confused.
Right.
But they're not the same.
President Obama's keeping me down. The Republicans are keeping me down. The economy is keeping me down. You know, my boss is keeping me down. My wife is keeping me down. The kids are keeping me down. My lack of education is keeping me down. I was sexually abused. It's keeping me down. It's up to you to make a change in your own life.
The thing that really, really along these lines that you want to see me get mad, me truly mad?
No.
Not
You're
now.
a big man.
You will like me when I'm mad. Hulk smash. Unless you have a needle and pop my balloons, but that's a reference to something else.
Ah, there you go.
Love you, man. But no, truly in life, I used to have tons of hot buttons. I used to truly believe that I had a long fuse. But once that fuse burned past the point of no return, I mean, it was all or nothing. I mean, I'd be rage on. And really, I had a short fuse, and I just raged all the time. But I had a lot of hot button issues. But I've really dealt with that and growing up. And there are very, very few things that you'll see me get hot on quickly. But one of those is when you tell me I can't. When you just refuse to try. 99% of things in life can be tried. Now, I'm not talking about I want you to fly off the roof and you go, okay. I'm talking about creating opportunities for yourself. And again, I like to pick on Rock Girl because she works for me and I can with her relationship. But I'm not really picking on her. I'm just using her as an example because she can take it and it's a positive example. Rock Girl has never once ever told me I can't. I said, do you know how to do this? No, but I'll learn it. Oh, great. Awesome. Okay, well, with the pictures. She wanted to start something. I said, what do you love? I love taking pictures. All right, well, do that. And she went on her own and she tried some things. And just because you try it once and didn't get where you wanted, doesn't mean you have to keep trying again. I believe in universal timing, and that's a whole nother conversation. But the thing is, she has never once ever told me I can't. I've had other people tell me that, and it's all I can do not just to go into that rage screaming at them, because seriously, you are stopping you. You are getting in your way. You are the only person putting yourself down. You're the only person who can keep you down. I've had haters in my life. There's a song on the radio I love, because I've not been in that many dating relationships, so I don't have like an ex that I think this of, but I've had people in my dream, chasing my dream path, who've kind of detracted on me, who've tried to pull me down, who've hated on me. And the song is, I hope you hear the song and it pisses you off. I can't think of it now, but it's along those lines. I hope you hear this.
Is that Taylor Swift song?
No, it's not. I've
heard the song too.
Yeah, I can't think of it, but yeah.
Or is it Toby Keith? How You Like Me Now? Is it Toby Keith? How You Like Me Now?
Oh, that one's good too. No, see, there's a lot of them out there. But the idea is, I kept going. And of course, it's actually one of those situations in a song where the band's writing about themselves. And now I'm a big rock star and you're still nothing, you know. But I think of that sometimes like, I didn't choose to let the people who were dragging me down. I got mad. I fought with them. I had some inner turmoil because I have low self-esteem. I have more now than I did before. And actually, the last 2 years of working with our Mordant has really helped with that too. And dude, the best thing you've ever said to me is not how wonderful my ideas are or how great my talents are. It's, I believe in you. I trust you. And I think you've admitted you have trust issues. I have trust issues. I think everybody in this world has trust issues. And you turn to me and go, no, I want to try to explain an idea. No, I trust you.
Yeah.
I was like, that has really helped out with my ideas and how I view myself and how I handle things. But I realized a long time ago, I'm the only person who lets other people keep me down. Your boss can't keep you down. Your wife can't keep you down. Now, wives and husbands are different because it's the closest thing in your life. You know, it's like saying the sun's keeping the earth down. Well, it's a symbiotic relationship. You know, I get that, but you got what I'm saying? I can't. Man, I just want to punch you in the nose when you say that.
Right. I just want to reference that song again. Detached Lotus comes back with All American Rejects, gives you hell.
Yes, that's it. That's it.
Kiki did it, confirms it, and then Detached Lotus came back with Rachel sang it on Glee.
Yes, she did. Yes, she did. I love that song because it's fun. Because there's not a negative tone in the voice, but I hope you hear the song that gives you hell. And I kind of think that sometimes. I hope you see my name on the nominations and it gives you hell. Because I dreamed big and I chased. And I'm following I'm living happy now. Not happily ever after. Happy now. Let's trademark that and put it on t-shirts. Happy now.
Happy now. Happiness now. Serenity now.
Live happy or die. I don't know.
Let me just throw out one more time. 813-413-7133. Please give us a call and say hello to us. We were having a lovely chat, and we will keep on going, but I just wanted to make sure that you know that you have an opportunity out there. 813-413-7133.
Steer us. See, here's where you influence the path. I don't think people can even change your path. I think you can be influenced one way or the other on your path. Because you can be bullheaded and run into that wall. The wall's not going to change your path. You have to change to go around it. But I got permission to share this story while we're waiting on a call. If we get a call, interrupt me. I'll see it pop up. If I see it pop up, we'll roll into it. But I got permission, and I still won't call names, but he knows I'm talking about him. A friend of mine called up, and he had issues at work, and he got a bad review. And he's like me. Even though we know we do our best, we want people to and like you, and like all of us, we want people to recognize we do our best. And when somebody is seeing the world through different glasses than we are, and they don't see our best as what they want, or they try to be petty, bad reviews bring us down. And what I told him was, you have opportunities in your life to be happy. You can, this job is like an iPhone. I didn't actually say this to him. I was thinking of it now as a simile or whatever. It's like a phone cover, a phone plate. You know how you put the rubber plates on your phone to protect them from when you drop them, like me, because I drop mine a lot. And they're interchangeable. At certain levels, jobs are interchangeable. It's like getting a drunk girl at the bar when you're just wanting the one-night stands. They're interchangeable. You don't know them. The job you have is the drunk girl at the bar. Go find you a different drunk girl that makes you happier. And now, we have a call, so go right ahead.
We do have a caller. Welcome, 520.
Oh, yeah, I'm not calling to say anything. I'm just listening as I go to Tan's class, so you guys can keep going.
Okay. I think that's Moonlit Star 21.
Yes.
Just a quick question. Do you have a smartphone by chance?
Yes, I do, and Mixler hates it, so I tried using it last week, and it kicked me out.
All right, fair enough.
All right, Mixler, we're trying to pimp you out, but not this time.
Mixler is still a baby. I mean, it's only months old. It's coming along. I think it's a really good tool, and it's going to get better. So we'll leave it with that. But the whole job situation, the advice boiled down to is you don't quit, but use it to keep doing what it's doing now to find another job that's minimum wage or $10 an hour that only works your part-time. I mean, quite honestly, your job's not defining who you are, and if you're that's like you were saying earlier, if you're unhappy, that's the universe telling you you shouldn't be here. Because how many times, I'm gonna throw this to you, Mordant, how many times have you been in a bad situation where the outside world goes, you should be miserable, but you're happy because you're where you're supposed to be?
A lot of the places that I'm very blessed, and a lot of the places that I'm at, the outside world enjoys what I do as well. So that's a hard one for me to say. I think when you're involved in self-sacrifice for a volunteer, for a group or whatever, an organization, and that gives you joy, I think that's a situation. I think for some people, raising their kids is like that. You're like the screaming children, but you kind of love it. That's like that. So, I'm pretty blessed in that. When I'm very, very happy, it's usually a good thing all the way around.
Well, that's cool. I mean,
I made those choices.
I look at you, and
I look at you,
and in your day job, you're outside, and there's just times when I'm like, dude, you're sweating, you're nasty, it's hot, the crowds might not respond.
Give me a job that has air conditioning. That's what I want. That's what I want.
So I'm outside world going, that's not me. I guess it could be me if I were loving what I did, obviously. But you do what you do, and whether you're happy or not, which I think you are most of the time, but whether you're happy or not, you put forth that happy face, and you do the great best show you've ever done in your life. You know, every time you step out, and that's a situation of you are happy where you are. I mean, at no point that I've ever talked to you have I felt that you're unhappy doing what you do.
Well, I'm also fortunate in that what I do, I get fed by my audience. So if I have an audience that's giving me energy, even if I start with something that's not so, maybe I'm not feeling great, by the end of that show, I'm feeling awesome, especially if it's one where the crowd is giving stuff back. We just got a call in from, unless I
see it.
Got rid of it. Is it there?
Yes, 803.
Hey. Hey, Ricky, how you doing?
It's Country Boy.
Yeah, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. Me and another member in here, Cam Check, was talking a little bit ago, and we both had some pretty good ideas about, money, wealth. That's what makes a lot of people happy, but also, it's not that it helps, but what really makes you happy is what you love doing. Like he said, he's a stay-at-home dad, but he plays music for money. But he says he does it for free just because he loves to do it. And one of the things that I got thinking about, everybody has their niche, something that makes them happy. Mine's working on cars, doing all kinds of different things. But, money does make things easier. But the problem with most people, like he said earlier, when they get that large amount of money, it goes straight to their head.
Right.
It's big with everybody. I will admit it. I do the same thing. I'm always thinking, I wish I had more money, or I wish I had this, or I wish I had that. But the one thing you really got to think about is don't think about what you want. Think about what you have.
There you go.
Be happy because you woke up today. There's people that didn't wake up today. There's people that don't have family, that are alone. I'm 26 years old. I still live at home with my mother, but I have my family. I have things that make me happy every day. It's not the things that I want to make you happy. It's what you have. You have to remember what you have.
I think that you're absolutely right. I think there's kind of a universal law that if you learn how to be a good steward with what you have, then more will be given to you. And by that, if you're learning how to be a good steward with the money that you have, you're going to learn how to make more of it and keep more of it as well. Whereas if you're doing the credit thing and you're doing a lot of spend like most of the American public, then you're not really keeping much of that money. You're not really learning how to do well with what you have and respect what you have. So T. Harv Eker talks about, he says, how you do anything is how you do everything. If you're really good with a little amount of money, you'll be really good with a lot of money. However, if you notice, most people aren't even good with a little amount of money. So you're absolutely right. Be happy with what you have. Be a good steward with what you have. And then you'll be able to grow into being able to have more. It's almost a vibrational transition.
Yeah, I drive every single day. I see people with nice fancy cars. They have this. They can go buy whatever they want anytime they want. And I look at it this way: what do I need that for? It's a waste of money.
Right.
I don't need money to make me happy. I can live in a shoebox for the rest of my life, but as long as I have my family and things that I like to do, I can be perfectly happy with where I'm at.
You know what I'm hearing you say though is that I think gratitude. I think being grateful leads to happiness. That's all I hear. You're saying I hear it in your voice. You're grateful for the things you have. You appreciate the skills that you have. You appreciate the life that you have, and that's what makes you happy.
Yeah, there are people out there that don't have a roof over their head. They can't eat every single day. I'm thankful for a roof over my head. I have a mother who lives with me, a wonderful sister, and a wonderful brother, and I'm happy about it. Me personally, if I'm deadly, badly in a bind, I have one person I know I can call and who can make something happen. And I'm grateful that I have all this, but in the same time, which I guarantee everybody in here does it, they still want more. Or they're thinking about the things that they didn't have. I mean, when I was younger, I didn't have dirt bikes. I mean, I had bicycles that broke down and had to be fixed all the time. You know, I didn't have very much. You know, my mother's taking care of 6 kids. She's the only one working. I mean, I didn't have very, very little. When I turned 20, I discovered Craigslist, and most of it, and I started, you know, buying stuff, trading stuff, and I've had an astronomical amount of stuff. You know, I mean, I've done everything for myself. You know, but I'm still perfectly happy with what I have. I'm grateful that I have this.
Good.
I mean, I feel so sorry for some of the people out there that don't have a mother or don't have a father. I mean, here recently I lost my grandmother, and it's been hurting me a lot, and, you know, but I'm still grateful that I had my time with her.
Right.
I still have her memories. I love that. I mean, of course, you know, I'd probably be a little bit happier if I had a huge house, a brand new car, or something like that. But in the meantime, if I live my life the same way I'm living right now, at least I know when I pass away, I live my life the way I wanted to. Happy.
Absolutely. Something I've heard recently is that they have a way to rate the happiness in certain countries to see which is the happiest country on Earth. And oddly enough, Nigeria, I believe it was. I might be wrong, but it was some country like Nigeria who had the least amount of, or very little, you know, material goods, but they were the happiest people. So it's not all wrapped up in what we can collect, what we can have. Happiness is a different type of thing, but it's hard for us as Americans to wrap our brain around that. You know, a lot of you who follow the Bible, the book of Acts, it talks about how the early Christians put all of their money, sold all of their stuff, and used everything for the community. And there have been different communities that have tried that throughout history, and there have been American communities that tried that, but they couldn't do it. They had a hard time letting go of the stuff, and it's more of an American thing. I'm not saying it's bad, it just is what it is. So Nigeria was actually one of the, and I may be getting the country wrong, but I believe it was Nigeria was one of the happiest countries on earth, was in fact the happiest country on earth. So of course they probably have a very strong sense of family as well, because they all grow up and live and die together.
Yeah, one of America's biggest problems is our need to go further. People in Africa and all this other stuff, they have nothing practically. You see all the commercials, all that other, they have nothing. But the one thing that they all love is they have people they can count on. We want more that, more everything. And most of us don't seem to realize we have just, you know, the stuff that will make us happy, will keep us going. Like parents, wife, 2 kids. And he asked his wife the other day, you know, you live in an apartment, you know, he's a stay-at-home dad, you know, is this enough for you? Is this what will make you happy, or do we need more? And she said, I'm perfectly happy. I have you and my kids. You know, that's what makes people happy. You know, I mean, me personally, I have a bad problem with authority. I can't keep a job sometimes because the bosses are ignorant or something of that sort, and it bothers me. So I have decided not to actually have a real job. I go around and work on people's cars, cut grass, I do everything, and I make a living.
Right.
And I'm
you've found. Seems like you have found a way to make yourself happy and create your own life there. You know, you're moving towards that happily ever after. You found your own way to do that, and I think that's awesome. Slowly but surely, you're doing it in baby steps.
Yeah, I mean, I'm taking advantage. I mean, of course, you know, I want to go further later on, but right now, you know, I'm starting out at the bottom, and I'm actually moving up. I mean, I have 5 cars that are in my name, I own. I haven't done no, I get paid here, they're mine. And if it comes down to it, I would give up everything for anybody in my family. Something happened, it's all gone. I don't care. It's material things. That's our problem. We hold too much on material things. If my mother fell ill right now, I have enough stuff that I can pay for her to not have to work for a year. I will sell every bit of it, and I will own nothing just for my mother.
Well, it sounds like that it sounds like you're moving forward and you're doing everything exactly how you want to do it, and I commend you, my friend.
Well, I really do appreciate it, Ricky. I can get off and finish talking.
Well, thank you for calling in. We're gonna move on right now because we're getting close to the end of the show. So thank you, Country Boy. I hope that you're going to stick around. Thank you for joining us here on the other side of live. And I think he did just leave.
But he's probably in the chat room still. But he made me think of this quote. I told you I had one or two quotes. I've got one for the end of the show. So when you get ready to wrap, I got one last quote for you that I'm saving and just for you. But this quote, what would you be willing? What? I think it's a misprint. What you would do willingly for free is the only thing you should ever do for money. That's by Raymond Aaron as well. I'll say it again. What you would do willingly for free, like you and I do the podcasting thing constantly, is the only thing you should ever do for money.
Right.
Now, of course, you can't just jump out and do that, but that should help you define your loves. That should help you. Like he's talking about, it came out really quick. Country Boy's talking about cars, and how he loves cars, and it turns out he owns 5 of them. And it's not because he wants the status symbol to have 5 cars, because he works on cars. It's what he loves to do. And that's the only thing you should do for free. You should be working towards it.
Absolutely. I am right now doing something that I told you I was going to do. I might not be doing it. There it is. I've turned on my camera. I'm going to record a vlog while we're doing this show. So it's everybody can please indulge me. Welcome. I am right now online here at the other side of live. I have a lot of friends with me online doing this show live, and I thought I would just share this with you all so you can see a little bit of what's going on. Tonight we've been talking about living happily ever after. Unfortunately, I've got everything hooked up to me, so you're not going to hear anybody else. But I can, if I can, take the camera off, which there it is, and show you this is what it looks like. So we have a ton of people in. And it's pretty fantastic. And if you decide to join us for the other side of live during a live show, this is a little bit of what you'll experience. And Charles and I have been talking back and forth. So, and you get to hear my raspy voice tonight because I've got this voice going on. So thank you for taking a look at this. I hope you join us at the other side of live. Welcome to my Mordant world. I did that. Said I would do it. I don't know if I'm going to use it, but I did it.
And you missed the opportunity to promote that they could download it as well in a podcast.
Whatever. I'll record an addendum.
Baby steps. Baby steps. We're getting.
I didn't want to take up everybody's time while I was doing this.
Mm-hmm.
So we have about 2.5 more minutes before we hit our hour mark.
Well, let me. So you can put your final thoughts on it and close the show out. I love this quote. I read it today. One of the most tragic things I know about human nature is that all of us tend to put off living. We're all dreaming of some magical rose garden over the horizon instead of enjoying the roses that are blooming outside our windows today. That's by Dale Carnegie.
That's awesome. Because that is true. Tomorrow never comes. Hey, I'm going to go do this thing tomorrow. Hey, I'm going to go see other countries tomorrow. Hey, I'm going to begin my new life as a whatever your dream is tomorrow. Hey, I'm going to finally call that person that's really been touching my heart and let them know that I love them tomorrow. Tomorrow never comes. One of my favorite Nike quotes is yesterday you said tomorrow. I love that quote. Yeah, so get off your butt and do something about it. Start living that life. Start looking at that roses right in front of you and enjoying your life now. Happily ever after is now. It's not in the future. It's now. You have to accept responsibility for it and moving towards it. bit by bit. Don't think that, you see that I'm doing the podcasting. You see that I'm doing all this other stuff. There's some growth pains in there. Even still, this is not all easy peasy. But I'm loving as I level up my life. I'm loving what I'm doing. And I'm loving that I'm affecting you. And I'm loving that I'm learning stuff from this as well. Not just technical, but also as a man, also as a spiritual being. And I'm just happy that you guys are willing to join in for not therapy, just a voice. Here at the other side of live. Cute coughing fit.
Yeah, while you're coughing fit, I want to throw a quick plug. SeventhRowCenter.com. Seventh Row Center is one of our favorite movie podcasts, and as a member of the Bear Calling Nation, we'll be doing the live once-in-a-lifetime show from the Aurora Cineplex Thursday night, starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. That is the charity event to support the Drake House. The Drake House is, from the information I have, the Drake House is the only women's battered shelter in Atlanta that accepts teenage kids as well. You can bring your teenage kids with you. It's not... I don't understand that rule. I'd love to. I didn't know women's battered shelters say women can come and older kids can't. I don't get that, but they accept teenage kids. It's a great cause. He's going to be doing a show live from the Aurora Cineplex here on stickcam.com/bear crawling.
It's an awesome cause as well. I'm not sure about the organization, but anything that is helpful to battered women, absolutely. I have personal feelings about that. So there.
There you go. So there.
There you go. That's all it is. We have just hit that hour mark. Do you have anything else for me, Big Charles?
Big Charles. Yes, everybody remember, please go vote. We'd love to win this nomination. Well, we got the nomination. We'd love to win the award, podcastawards.com. Check out the podcast releases the Sunday after we broadcast. So it'll be this Sunday. The podcast of The Other Side of Live will release. Check it out on iTunes and on mordantworld.com or Facebook, mordantworld.com, but facebook.com/mordantworld. And also, be a fan of the Mordant World fan page, because you can't be a friend of the Mordant World fan page because it's a fan page. It's in the name. That's right. But you can friend us here. And you can follow us here as well. It's two different things. I'm not sure why, but you can friend us and follow us. We actually have more friends than we have followers, and I'm not sure if that's good. Stickcam.com/Mordant World
and podcastawards.com. Vote daily. So because every vote each day counts. There you go. I think we're done plugging ourselves. You can find Charles at bearcrawlingnation.com, listening to his podcast, Bear Crawling Nation Live.
There you go. And
vote for him as well under the general category.
That's it.
I know I'm going to daily. I don't think we can pimp this out anymore. I think we're done. Well, I hope the rest of you have a fantastic 2 weeks. Thank you so much for another enjoyable The Other Side of Live. It has been fun for me. I'm looking forward to being able to cough at will and probably go blow my nose, which I've had to do for a while. And for my drink more tea, that's what I didn't show. This is what I've been drinking. Tonight's voice brought to you by Japanese cherry tea. From the coffee bean. It's very good stuff. Anyways, thank you. I think that's it. Anything else, Charles?
No, sir. I hope you feel better.
I do feel better already. Remember, live happily ever after every day. Ciao, dream catchers.
Hey, soul sister, ain't that Mr. on a radio, stereo, the way you move ain't fair, no. Hey, soul sisters, I don't wanna miss a single